if you have a desire, if you have a dream, a goal, something that you want to pursue, take action, however small, today. Take that bold move. Don't wait, because the more you wait, the more you'll talk yourself out of it, the more that inner critic's going to come up, the more the fear is going to come into play. Act despite how you feel and back yourself. Every single person in the world has got something to share. Whether it's you want to step up into a promotion, whether you want to go and do that AI course, whether you want to switch into a completely different industry, take the first step. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Career Confidence Podcast with myself, Georgie Hubbard. Thank you so much for tuning in today, wherever you are in the world. Today's podcast is going to be a little bit different because I have an announcement to make, which is exciting, terrifying, and everything else in between. I'm going to be sharing with you something that I have been working on for a long time now. It's been in the making for, if I'm honest, many years, the idea, at least anyway. And all the lessons, all of the challenges, all of the things that I've come up against to get to this point. And my hope is that by the end of this podcast, you feel inspired to take a bold move, to step outside your comfort zone, to go for your dreams and go for your goals, and know that as you do, you are going to come up against yourself, and you're going to come up against imposter syndrome and all the things that are going to try and hold you back as fear comes up and tries to stop you from doing something that feels brave and bold and uncomfortable. So for those of you that follow me on socials, you will know that I announced a week ago that I am writing a book. It's called The Bold Move. And it is all around how to build career confidence and future-proof your career in the age of AI. And in even more exciting news, I pitched this to Wiley. They're a large self-help and business publisher. And they were really excited about the idea of the book, and they wanted to be my publishing partner, which was incredible. So I'm writing a book, and I'm also have got a publishing deal to do this. So as soon as I got that, I won't lie, I really started to take this even more seriously. And I had a very, very strict deadline, which I had to make. Otherwise, I wouldn't get the publishing deal. So it's been a lot of work, and it's felt at times very challenging to navigate with everything else that I've got on. But this is really what I want to share with you today. I have felt so connected and motivated and driven to do this, that even on the days where it has felt slightly overwhelming or that life is getting very full, I have still executed because it is something that feels very important, especially right now. So I guess just to take you back, a little bit of a share here. I have always loved writing. Ever since I was a little girl, I used to write stories in my bedroom. I used to write songs. So writing feels such a pleasure to me. It's something that definitely uplifts me, and I just really love it. I love putting my ideas into words and onto paper. So it's been something that I have always enjoyed doing, which I think is why I've always thought that I have a book in me. But I guess cut to the last few years with all of the change since launching Sisterhood Club, seeing where technology is going, the rise of AI, all of the change, running workshops within some of my clients at See It Solutions, hearing more and more and more about females holding themselves back through lack of confidence, lack of self-belief, then add into the mix all of the uncertainty around jobs and AI and what that's going to do. It just became so, I felt pulled. I felt this desire to do more and help. And obviously I do have the I guess, the insights, having a recruitment company, speaking to hundreds of career professionals every week on both sides of the fence. I speak to candidates who are looking to transition into a different job. I speak to clients who are hiring for certain skills. And I kept on hearing the same thing over and over again. My clients were looking for people who were really embracing new technology like AI. They were wanting people who had really strong, I call them human skills. So emotional intelligence, critical thinking, analytical thinking, adaptability, problem solving. These human skills were becoming more and more important in my conversations. And then obviously add to this, obviously all of the technology advancements. And I've had a few clients say to me, every single hire we now make, we want them to be AI literate. Then I've got the other side where I'm hearing all of the candidates who are not getting interviews, are not sure how to pitch themselves, not sure what skills they should be really learning right now, lacking in confidence, lacking in clarity. And I thought, as a recruiter, you are the middle person. You sit in between both the client and the candidates, and you accumulate a huge amount of knowledge about the market and what's actually going on and what businesses are asking for. But you also hear all of the, I guess, the issues that candidates are facing when it comes to applying for jobs and having that clarity and confidence to apply for things before they feel 100% ready. So I was hearing it from both sides. On top of that, I've obviously launched Sisterhood Club, and I've had people far more clued up about all of this new tech that's coming than me speak on panels, sharing what's coming. I speak to incredible leaders in tech like Catherine Boychuk, for example, CTO of EY, Sarah Carney, CTO of Microsoft, and they're all saying the same thing to me. The AI is coming and we need to be ready. So I felt called to write this book. And so, like I said, the book is called The Bold Move: How to Future-Proof Your Career in the Age of AI. And it has been so far such a work of love. I had this idea at the start of the year. I started writing. I just literally sat down one weekend, opened up my laptop and thought, right, how am I going to structure this? What do I want to say? What's part one? What's part two? What's part three? I've got all these conversations that I've had from interviewing now 150 people on the Career Confidence podcast. I've got all of this data from all of the women that apply to be mentored. We've had over 200 applications now. So I can really start to see and identify patterns of what's going on, what are the missing pieces, and how can this book genuinely be positioned to help people. And not just be a book on about strategy or, fluff and, things that have just been published all the time. What is actually going on, and how can I generally write this book to take people from where they are to where they want to be? So that's the announcement. I'm writing a book. I'm writing it with Wiley. It's all on careers. It's all on confidence. It's all on future-proofing your career. I go into a lot of detail around how to set yourself up. I go into things like how to build your personal brand, how to think about your career in the age of AI. What are the human skills you need? What are the hard skills you need? I share everything you need to do literally to get yourself prepared for what's coming. So it's a big book, and it feels exciting. Like I said, I'm slightly terrified as well, because this is probably the biggest thing I've ever done. But it feels very, very needed. But what I want to really go in to share with you now, because I always think that there is so many lessons to be learnt from when we step outside of our comfort zone and we do something. And this has been definitely the biggest thing I've done to date that's really pushing me. And so take you back, right? So when I first had this idea to write the book, my initial I guess, barrier, challenge, obstacle that came up was, when are you going to find the time to do this? Monday to Friday, you're in your recruitment business. That's very demanding, takes up a lot of your time. Any extra time you have, you're recording podcasts, you're in the Big Sister mentorship, you're thinking about the next cohort for that, you're running events. there's lots going on in my world. And not only that, I actually want to enjoy life as well. I want to have some downtime. I want to spend time with my husband. I want to spend time with my family and my friends. So there was definitely that initial resistance there. And to be honest with you, when I first had the idea back in January, I quickly shut it down. I was like, Georgina, no, this is not the right time. Life is really full at the moment. So maybe that can go on the back burner. But again, as I said, the more conversations I had, the more articles I read, the more conversations I had with female candidates, the more I could see the impact that AI was going to have on jobs. I thought, do you know what? It doesn't matter how busy life is for you right now. You have had this call, you've had this pull, you've felt this desire come up. You need to honor that. And I think this is the first lesson that I want to share with you from my own process of going on this journey so far, is that when you have an idea, when you have this desire, this pull to do something that feels big, that feels slightly scary, that feels unknown, that's a definite stretch, and you're going to be stepping out of your comfort zone, and you also know it's going to require everything from you, you're going to come up against all of the fear, all of the reasons why not to do something. That's going to come up first. It's really easy, I think, when we think about doing something, to focus on all the reasons not to do something, because that's, I guess, how our brain is wired. Our brain is wired for fear. It's designed to keep us safe. It's designed to think about that sort of keeping that sort of, I guess, comfort. So I knew as soon as I was going to take that first step, all of the fear, all of the reasons not to do something was going to come up. All of the worst case scenarios were going to be, I was going to think in my own mind, which is why I sat down and I got really, really clear on my why. And I did the 5 why, I asked myself 5 whys, basically, like, why do you want to do this? Why is this important? Why does this matter to you? And ultimately, knowing my why, being anchored in that, has pushed me through every chapter. It has made me want to wake up very early in the morning. It's made me want to work into the evenings. It's made me want to work every weekend on the book and feel this still level of excitement, enthusiasm, and drive to do it. And I think this is so important, because had I not sat down and thought about that why and got really explicitly clear on why this was important, I'll be honest, I probably could have very easily just gone, do you know what? This is just too much work for me right now. I'm going to stop. But because I'm so anchored in that strong why of like wanting to help people, wanting to make an impact, wanting to make sure that females future-proof their careers and we don't get left behind in this new AI world, that has really given me all of the motivation, all of the discipline that I need to sit down and do the work. So that's a really big lesson for me. I believe anytime you want to do something that you know is going to require you to level up, step up, push yourself, you need to be anchored in why you're doing it. Because especially if there's not like, I guess, any financial returns, or if there's not like any immediate thing that you're going to get from it, it can be quite easy to sort of find some reasons not to do something. So that's been a really huge lesson for me. Anchor myself in my why, anchor myself in my mission and my purpose. The second piece is understanding that anytime you do something that feels new and scary, you're going to feel imposter syndrome, right? Like there has been times throughout this process, so many times, where I've literally sat there halfway through a chapter and gone, who am I to write this? Why am I the right person to spread this message right now? And it has been loud at times. And I've had to just take a breath, go for a walk around the block, speak it out with my friends and my family and my husband, Kyle, and tell them, this is what I'm thinking and feeling right now. Can I just talk to you about this? And they've been my sounding boards of like, you've got to keep going with this. This is really important. You know why you want to do it. You've got to keep going. So I think the first thing is having a really good support network around you. That's been really key for me throughout this process. Secondly, it's understanding that you are going to come up against yourself, and you're going to come up against that inner critic, that inner voice is going to basically try and talk you out of doing it, or say exactly that. Who are you to do this? Why do you think you've got the credentials? All of these things. You're not good enough. You're not a good writer. This is all of these things. All these thoughts are natural responses to do whenever you're doing something that feels like a stretch or feels big. And I think that's really important to remember, because imposter syndrome doesn't come up when you're comfortable, when everything's just sort of like feels easy. It's going to come up when you push yourself or do something that feels hard and challenging. And that's been a really, really big lesson for me. So how I've overcome that inner critic is I've created separation from her. So I've given her a name. Her name's Sue. And I say, oh, that's Sue. She's trying to keep me small. Thanks, Sue. Don't need you today. I've got this. So it's a playful way of almost distancing yourself from the inner critic. So you hear the thought and you go, oh, yeah, that's Sue. She's trying to keep me small again. Thanks, Sue. I've got this. So that's one way that I've been doing it. The second is just keep on taking the action. The more you act, the more you quiet that inner critic, right? If you listen and you just stop doing what you're doing because you're listening to the voice, that voice gets louder and louder and louder. And then the more you start listening to it. So action is a really, really powerful way to overcome that inner critic and that imposter syndrome. And I think also it's just acknowledging for me that this is all part of the growth, that anytime that I'm going to do something that feels new, scary, bold, I am going to experience this. So I've got to understand that I've got to coexist with it and not try and just shut it down completely. Because I think the more you try and do that, the more you try and think, I don't want to think those thoughts, the more you're going to think those thoughts. So instead, create the distance, call it out, know that it's yourself trying to upper limit yourself. Like, one of the books that I read that was really pivotal for me was The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And I've actually interviewed him as well. He's an amazing author. And again, I guess it just proves the power that books have to change your life, which is why I'm taking this incredibly seriously, because books have definitely shaped who I am today and made me think differently and given me different perspectives. But one of the things that Gay Hendricks writes in The Big Leap is that we have this thing called our upper limit. And this is basically the thermostat that we have for our happiness, for our health, for our life. And anytime we turn up the thermostat, anytime that we do something that feels exciting or new or bold, we are going to flick the upper limit switch because we're used to playing at a certain temperature. And all of a sudden I've gone to a very different temperature. So of course I'm going to come up against the inner critic and going to trip the upper limits switch. And that's going to make me want to retract. But instead of retracting, I know I've got to lean in even more and just keep taking the action and keep understanding that the more I do this, the louder that voice is going to become, but also not to listen to it. Go, oh yeah, thank you for that. But we're not sort of playing small anymore. We're going for this. So that's been a huge lesson for me and something I really want you to take away. Your inner critic, your imposter syndrome is never going to come up when you are playing it safe. It's going to come up when you are trying something new, when you're taking a bold move, when you are looking to career pivot, looking to step up into a promotion. That's when you're going to really come up against that voice. So that's been another key lesson for me. Third lesson has been the fact that sometimes you are not always going to feel motivated, especially not at 4 a.m. in the morning when I've been getting up to do this, because I cannot take time out of my work day that has to go to See It Solutions. It has to go to my recruitment business because that's my source of income. If I don't work, if I don't continue to grow that business and deliver for my clients, then, I'm going to not be in a very good financial position after writing this book. And that would cause me a lot of stress. So I have chosen to get up early to do some out of hours work and some weekend work. And no, I won't lie. Sometimes I'm not always motivated when the alarm goes off to get up and write or, read through another chapter again and make sure it all makes sense. Like, no, I'm not always motivated to do that. But this is where the discipline comes in. This is where the acting despite how you feel comes in, right? And this is where I think that resilience is such a powerful tool and such an important human tool to build upon, because this is where we grow the most. This is where we're going to have to lean in, and we're going to have to really focus on why we want to do something and keep on taking the action despite of what we would want to do instead. Like, there's no denying I would like to some mornings click on that snooze button and get another couple of hours sleep, but I know I've just missed out on 2 hours of writing. And then that then makes me feel not good. And then I'm sort of going, the deadline's getting closer and closer, and then I'm going to start feeling stressed. So I go, okay, this little bit of discomfort of waking up as, an hour earlier than what I normally would, what's that worth to me? And that again comes back to your why. So in those early mornings, in those cold winter mornings, it's now in Melbourne where it's cold outside and all I want to do is pull the duvet up against me. I've been getting up and I've been going to my laptop and I've been writing. And that's where the resilience and that's where the discipline comes in. And I also know as well, because look, I'm not somebody that wants to promote anything like hustle culture or anything like that. I'm not promoting that. But I also do think that there's times in our lives where we do need to put in that extra bit of effort. And I know that's what I'm in a season of right now. I'm in a season of growth. I'm in a season of pushing myself in to do this important work. And it is forcing me to level up. It's forcing me to do things that feel uncomfortable at times. But I think that we've got to just accept that. I think that this is all part of life, and life isn't all about just being cruisy and easy. Life is about challenge as well. And I think that that's what helps us grow. Like the growth and the lessons and the impact all are born through challenging, tough times. They're not born and bred when everything's easy and everything feels comfortable. So on those early mornings and on those evenings and weekends when I am maybe lacking motivation to do it, I remind myself of my why, and I understand the purpose and the mission of what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to achieve. And I act and I sit down and I write. And that, I think that not only builds resilience, but it builds something even more important. It builds trust in myself. It builds trust that when you say you're going to do something, you do it. And that is so powerful. And I believe that is what leads to confidence and self-belief. It's if we decide we're going to do something and we don't do it, we start to doubt ourselves. We start to feel like we lose that trust. We lose that respect for ourselves. So I know how important it is if I say I'm going to do something that I do it. And I feel like my word is my bond. My word is incredibly important. I'm a big, big believer of like honesty and integrity. And I want to keep the promises to myself. So that's been a huge lesson for me, is that you've got to push past the discomfort. You've got to do things that don't feel nice, and that's okay. And honoring the season that you're in. Like, I also know that if I was doing this for another year, that's going to get pretty challenging. But I'm not going to be doing it for another year. There's a deadline. It's August. That's when the book needs to be completed by, and then it will be sent off to the press. So I know I've got another month or two of this kind of type of work and energy and demand. But after that, the book's done. And what an amazing achievement. So I think this has been a really, really interesting journey for that, because I guess I've realized actually how much capacity I have to do something. And you don't realize until you start doing something, you go, oh, wow, okay, like I'm making this work. I'm making this fit in to my life. And that's why it's so important to understand why you want to do something, because when something's important, you can always find the time. And then it's a case of looking at your calendar and being like, right, well, if I don't want to do this Monday to Friday because I've got other commitments, what else? Where else can I fit this in? And that might mean making some sacrifices for a short period of time, of course. No, I don't think it's sustainable. It's definitely not sustainable to do this forever. But for a short period of time, am I prepared to make some sacrifices? Absolutely. Am I prepared to turn down some social events? Absolutely. I posted the other day that I'm definitely in a season of no. And I don't believe that you can do everything all at once. You have to make choices, and life is a series of decisions and choices. And I'm choosing right now to sit down on weekends. I'm choosing right now to wake up early. I'm choosing right now to work a bit later than what I normally would to get the book done. And again, that's what's so empowering. Reminding yourself, I am choosing this. I could choose to stop, or I could choose to keep on going and get this book finished for you all. So they are just, I guess, a few lessons that when I was thinking about this, I wanted to really share with you. But it's been such an interesting journey. And any time that I've gone to do something that I know is going to require a different version of me, I know that it's going to be challenging at times. I know that it's going to be a lot of effort and energy. But I just think that when you want to do something so badly, when you've got a goal that you want to achieve, you go into this sort of different level. You find this deeper energy source within you. And that's what I tap into every day. But one thing I am also making sure I do is every day I wake up, I start my day still the same way, setting my intention, moving my body. Once I've made sure I've done some writing, then I go and move. So I'm also making sure that I'm really prioritizing my health, both mentally, physically, spiritually right now as well. And making sure that I'm getting out into nature as well. So I'm, right now I'm very lucky to live in Torquay down the Great Ocean Road in Australia. So I have access to the beach, and that's been really important. So just going down and seeing the ocean and taking a deep breath and all these things that I'm doing to really make sure that I'm staying in balance and I'm not sort of, I guess, losing myself in this sort of, I guess, busy energy that I'm in right now. But yeah, look, that is the announcement. That is my my next project, and the book is going to be out in November. So end of November, the book comes out. I think it's the 17th. It's going to be available in bookstores all across the globe. So it will be in the UK, America, Australia. They're sort of the main sort of city places I think the book's going to be, but it will also be available in Europe and all over the world. So I think, working with Wiley, this is where it's so powerful having a publisher, is because they're the ones that are going to get this into every bookstore, well, as many bookstores as they possibly can, of course, all over. So when it gets closer, I'm sure I'll have more lessons. And I know that when the book's actually almost ready to come out, that's probably when I'm going to be freaking out even more and coming up against my inner critic even more when I get that book. But I feel very, cool to do this. And I also just want to say, some of you have reached out and given such beautiful messages and support. So thank you so much. And as my community for the Career Confidence podcast, you will be the first people to know and hear about the book and when it's coming out. So there'll be a pre-launch list. So make sure you're on that. I'll make sure I put the links as we sort of go through this process. But thank you for being part of the journey, and I'll keep on sharing my lessons, sharing my wins. Please come and, if you want to follow me, come and follow my Instagram, Georgie L. Hubbard, or my LinkedIn, Georgie Hubbard. Let's connect. And if you're doing something right now, if you're working on your own bold move, let me know. It's so inspiring to have a community of other like-minded people pushing themselves outside their comfort zone to do something that feels big and bold. But final message to you today is, if you have a desire, if you have a dream, a goal, something that you want to pursue, take action, however small, today. Take that bold move. Don't wait, because the more you wait, the more you'll talk yourself out of it, the more that inner critic's going to come up, the more the fear is going to come into play. Act despite how you feel and back yourself. Every single person in the world has got something to share. So whether it's you want to step up into a promotion, whether you want to go and do that AI course, whether you want to switch into a completely different industry, take the first step. And that's where I'm going to leave you today. So thank you for coming on this journey with me. Thank you for all your support so far. And I hope that what I've shared today is a little reminder that life is not about being comfortable, and the growth and the lessons are all in the discomfort. And that is definitely what I'm leaning into more and more as I go through this journey. So thank you for tuning in today. Have an amazing week wherever you are. Please reach out to me. I always love hearing from you, and take care. I'll speak to you soon.